building for Life and Tech with Tech Life Steph. We are live on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, 900 AM, 96.1 FM, streaming at wordradio.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/forward. And today's episode, I'm excited about it, but it's necessary. We are talking about online child safety. Think about the number every 22 seconds. 22 seconds. There are statistics that show that every 22 seconds, a child is targeted by an online predator. Um, I don't think we talk about this enough in the Black community. I think a lot of people like to dismiss a lot of this as that's not something that happens to us, that happens to them. They get groomed, they get sextorted, they get whatever that thing is online. But this is happening to all children. And we do not talk about it enough, and we are going to talk about it today. Life and Tech with Tech Life Steph is your place to learn all about tech. We break it down so you don't have to. We want you to use the tech and don't let the tech use you. We talk about apps and gadgets and devices and AI and all things technology, but we also talk about social media and the internet and internet safety, digital literacy, all of those good things, because we don't talk about it enough in our community. And I've talked about it before on this show. I do a workshop, a program, a seminar, a presentation. It can take many forms, called Till Death Do You Tweet. And it helps young people be better digital citizens. And there's a book that goes with it. I'm going to just shamelessly plug all of the stuff that I'm doing, but I wrote a book called Don't Let Your Digital Footprint Kick You in the Butt. It's still available on Amazon, but that goes along with the workshop, with the seminar. I've been speaking to young people for over 10 years now about digital safety, about internet safety, about online safety, about digital citizenship and cyberbullying, and what can happen when you're not behaving the best online, when you're not presenting your best self online. I've been doing this for a really, really long time, and I continue to do it to this day. I also work for an ed tech startup, so a startup that does educational technology called Mask Next Gen. I am the head of content there, and I help them do the same thing. They've created a game that schools can license to do this same thing, to teach online safety, to teach digital safety, to help empower young people to make good decisions. So they're doing a couple of different things with Mask Next Gen. They are empowering students to be more intentional about how they show up online themselves. So what are you posting? What kind of things are you doing online that might affect your ability to be successful in the future? Because there are students right now like completely obliterating their future prospects in different areas because of the stuff that they're posting online. There are students that are affecting other students by the stuff that they are posting online. So we talk about how to be intentional about what you're doing online, but also how to empower students to make better decisions about the things they encounter online. Because, y'all on the internet, we all got smartphones these days. It's the wild, wild west out there. There is a little bit of everything happening on the internet these days. And now with artificial intelligence, you don't even know what's real and what's not. So imagine a 12-year-old, an 11-year-old, a 13-year-old that has an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex. The brains are not developed yet, but you gave them this phone, and no judgment. Life and tech with Tech Life Steph is a no judgment zone, but these children have these phones. They're not necessarily prepared for all of the different types of things that are going to be coming at them on the internet. So many different things, so many different things. Trust me, I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been talking to students for a very, very long time. And what I know to be true, to paraphrase Miss Oprah Winfrey, what I know to be true is that kids understand the how. They can get those little thumbs going faster than you can even see them moving to post, to create. They know every trend. They know every internet slang term. They know all of those things. They know how to get a post up on Snapchat and get it back down before you can blink in the blink of an eye. They know the how. They know the mechanics of how the internet works, but they don't necessarily know the why and the consequence. You can post something, but there is something that happens after that. That post lives on forever. Number one, they don't really understand that. I can tell you that they don't really understand that that post is going to live forever. And then they don't really know what those ramifications and those consequences are when they make those posts. Again, I've talked to enough students at this point to know their faces go blank when we talk about this thing, or they're completely surprised and taken off guard about the idea that, you know, this thing that they thought was just a joke or was only going to be seen by their small group of friends, and now it went viral and now everybody knows and now you're in trouble. And you know, the ripple effects, if you will, of your online behavior can be very, very broad if you are not careful. And they just haven't thought about it because they're kids, and kids don't typically think that far out into the future. So this is our job. This has become my mission through Till Death Do You Tweet, and now through Mask Next Gen, to help these young people understand that the ripples of their online behavior can extend much farther than they know, and that they may be prepared for. And so it is our job as the adults in the room. And it is, and again, I have made it my mission, and it is my guest mission, and we're going to get to him in a minute, to help students understand the ripples of their online behavior and how far they can extend. Good morning. We got some folks in the chat already. Cynthia's in the chat. My guest is in the chat. We're going to bring him in just a minute. But we want to hear from you as well. You can hop in the chat. We are on Facebook Live at facebook.com/forward, or you can call in 215-634-8065, or toll free at 866-361-0900. We're taking your questions. What do you need to know about digital safety and online safety that you want your kids to know? What do you want your kids to know? What do you wish the schools were doing? What do you wish, you know, legislation and lawmakers were doing? Because we are behind, y'all. We are way behind in terms of what schools have done to try to mitigate some of the stuff that's happening online. Definitely don't have the laws to cover all of the things that are now happening with artificial intelligence and deep fakes and all of that good stuff. We are behind the eight ball right now. So give us a call. Let us know what you want to know about digital safety for your kids, what you think schools should be doing, and what you think the government should be doing to protect us a little bit better when we talk about social media and technology and artificial intelligence. Joanne, good morning. She says, good morning, Steph, producer, Word family, guests, and listeners. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in right now. We are going to go ahead and get our guest in here. He is an expert in cybersecurity, in digital safety, in internet safety. He is also the Chief Information Security Officer for Mask Next Gen. He is one of my colleagues at the startup that I work with. I am happy to have him here. He's also a professor at Purdue. We're going to let him get his resume going because he's doing a lot of different things right now. But I am happy to welcome John Schimanski into the show. John, thanks so much for joining us on Life in Tech with Tech Life Steph.
Hey, thanks for having me, Stephanie. It's great to be here, and I think this is an absolutely fantastic topic that you're absolutely right. We don't talk about enough, and we're not making not only parents, but teachers and administrators, and even the students themselves aware of what we, as in you and I, see as the dangers of the internet. But it's kind of almost like parents and administrators have their heads in the sands over this because, again, it can't it can't happen to me. It's always it happened to them, and that's the horrible
Exactly.
side of this.
Exactly. And again, this is a judgment-free zone.
Yep.
However, I will say I have spoken to hundreds of parents because when I do Till Death Do You Tweet, there's a version that I do for kids, there's a version I do for parents, and there's a version I do for professionals. And when I speak to the parents, I have literally had parents tell me, we just give them the phone and just we don't they get so mad when we try to, so we don't do. And I'm like, excuse me, like, aren't you
Right.
paying for the phone? Like, it's your phone technically. So you and honestly, you don't want to. And I think, again, parents tend to have, let me not just make a blanket statement, parents tend to be under the assumption that because young people are what they call digital natives, that they automatically understand everything that's happening on the internet. And that is just simply not true. It just isn't. And so when we talk about every 22 seconds and a child being targeted by an online predator, what do we mean, John, when we say targeted? What does that mean?
So we've seen a lot of this in recent years. What used to be considered the white van has now become the cell phone.
Hmm.
When I was growing up, it was always be wary of the white van that says free candy or free puppies on the side of it, or the gentleman that says, I need your help looking for my puppy, or my puppy ran away from me. Now it's literally it's come down to this.
Yes.
This in our hands, and we talk about every 22 seconds. First of all, there are 7 billion people in the world, and I think about 98% of them are online. And we'll say, just to make the math simple, half of them are people under the age of 18. There are also people in this world that are leading to do harm to those children. There's leading to do harm to others. We talk about cyberbullying, but when we talk about targeting, we're talking about sextortion, we're talking about grooming, we're talking
Hmm.
about manipulation, we're talking about how do we get these children to do something that we want? Is it send us a picture? Is it do something online? Is it live streaming or giving up information so that we can target these children even better? And it's not getting any easier for us as protectors. It's not getting any easier for parents or teachers, administrators of school districts, because we are a connected world. We are a digital citizenry. So we need to continue to teach our people and our students and our children and our parents how to be safe online. And as you mentioned, Mass Next Gen is probably the leading forefront at this point to do that.
And that's the thing I want people to understand as well as we're having this conversation over the next 40 minutes or so. We work in tech. We love technology. We are not demonizing technology. The answer to this question is not necessarily to ban, social media. We're seeing that happen a lot across the world, really. Australia, the UK now, with
Right.
the curfew and all that different stuff. A lot of places in, a lot of states in this country are now looking at what it looks like to ban social media and take away the phones and do all of that things. That is not what I don't want to speak for you, John, but that is not necessarily what I am advocating for. I think our students need to be prepared to handle the things that they are going to come into contact with online. The internet is a very scary place, or it can be, and you don't want your student to be unprepared for the types of things that they are going to encounter, because they're going to encounter them. Even if you only let them do certain things. I know, even with YouTube Kids. So YouTube Kids is a separate channel of YouTube that's only supposed to have kids content, but it has content of Mickey Mouse shooting Minnie Mouse, so they're like, literally they make cartoons, violent cartoons, in order to slip that content under the radar for young people. So there just really isn't, if you think there's a safe space, and again, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I need you to understand the reality of what is really happening on the internet. There aren't really any safe, quote unquote, safe places for your children to exist on the internet. So they need to know what to do when they come in, and they may never come in contact with it. God bless them. Let's pray that none of them ever do. But when they do, when and if they do, they need to understand what they're seeing. They need to understand how to handle what they're seeing. And they need to know that they can come and talk to a trusted adult, i.e. you, parent, or you, teacher, and you can help them navigate through what they've done. And we want to hear from you as well. If you are having some issues with your young person and their phone and social media or games, we're going to talk about gaming in a minute. Let us know. Give us a call. Hit us up, 215-634-8065, or toll free 866-361-0900. We're also in the chat on Facebook at facebook.com/forward. But we do have to take a quick break. We're coming back on the other side with John Schimanski from Mask Next Gen, and we're going to talk about gaming and sextortion next. So stay tuned.
How do you love a black woman? How do you love a black woman?
The longest touring, most successful black theatrical stage play in American history is back. Diary of Black Men, How Do You Love a Black Woman? October 14th and 15th at the Met Theater. The play that delivers tears, laughter, and joy about relationships from a black man's perspective. The Diary of Black Men. Get your tickets now at thediaryofblackmen.com.
Most people think child abuse is a bad parent problem.
Actually, the root causes may be different than you think.
Let us explain. Affordable housing for everyone.
That prevents child abuse. And access to healthcare in every community.
Prevents child abuse too. High quality, affordable childcare.
Paid family leave.
School breakfast and lunch programs.
All of this prevents child abuse.
It's all about keeping families out of crisis in the first place.
Research shows that investing in prevention helps children stay safe, strengthens families, and builds healthier communities and a stronger economy. Prevent Child Abuse America promotes policies, programs, and resources that help families thrive before a crisis occurs.
Because when we keep families out of crisis,
we prevent child abuse
from ever happening.
Go to kidsay.org to learn more. Again, that's kidsay.org. And
let's solve child abuse before it ever happens.
Why is word important to the community?
The importance of Black Talk Media is that it takes a deeper dive into our community's issues.
Because in the words of Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. And word is changing the world.
If I don't exist in the stories that we tell, and the storytellers don't have a platform to tell their stories like Black Owned Media, then at some point we erase ourselves.
We are giving voice to the community, and without the community, there will be no word. We are one and the same, and it is not a game. WURD.
And now, back to Life in Tech with Tech Life Steph, only on WURD.
Welcome back to Life in Tech with Tech Life Steph. It's your girl Tech Life Steph in the building. We are talking about digital safety for young people. And joining me is John Schimanski, head of Chief Information Security Officer for Mask Next Gen. We got some folks in the chat. Sharon Humphrey is in the chat. She's watching. Diane Fassett says, good morning. Word host Tech Life Steph. Shirley Carter. Edwina Griggs. That's a new name I hadn't seen in the chat before. Thank you all for joining us for this important topic, because again, I just, as someone who has done this for over 10 years and has been in schools in the hood all the way to the most elite private schools, we are not talking about this enough in our community, and the digital safety and online safety of our young people and all young people really, but especially in the Black community. We're not talking about this enough, and there is more that we can all be doing. Once we educate ourselves on what some of these threats are, we can then start making sure that our young people understand how to deal with the stuff they're going to see online as well. So if you're having some issues, if you have some questions, if you have a young person in your life that might be dealing with something right now, give us a call, 215-634-8065 or toll free 866-361-0900, or you can just drop it in the chat. What should the schools be doing? What should the government be doing? Where should the laws go and the policy go to protect our young people online? So, John, let's talk about gaming, because I think, there's a lot in gaming that can be very, very problematic for young people. Let's talk about maybe, 3 things parents should be on the lookout for when they allow their young person to play video games online.
So I'm a gamer. I play online. I play both PC and Xbox, and I play games with friends, and I've been doing that for a number of years. One of the biggest things is to make sure that if they're allowing their child to play online, number one, restrict the ability for others to contact them online through the game.
Yes.
Number one, as a parent, you should be approving these friends lists. You should be keeping these friends lists nice and small. You should be keeping them to the point where you personally, as a friend, know everybody on your child's friends list.
Right.
And that's going to be hard because you're going to be playing on global systems. You're going to be playing with people from around the world. But your child doesn't need to chat with people in another foreign country. They don't need to use voice chat with people, other than their friends or other kids at their school or other kids in their neighborhood, because you don't know if that's actually a child on the end of that microphone or the other end of that game or that other end of that game controller. There are a lot of games out there that allow online gaming: PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite, Apex. And a lot of them have in-game abilities to chat and in-game abilities to text and talk to other players.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily a good thing if you're talking to other people. Me personally, I don't use in-game chat. That's just me personally. I'm an adult, and I've been doing this an awfully long time, and I know how to keep myself safe.
So let me ask you real quick. Is there a difference between in-game chat and the communication that, like, say you're playing Call of Duty and they're talking to each other real time and say, I got this one, I'm gonna pick up that guy. Is there a difference between that communication that you have with another player while you're playing the game and an in-game chat, like a separate in-game chat?
There can be.
Okay.
I've seen both sides of it. I mean, some games don't have an in-game voice chat or in-game text chat.
Okay.
Just because the producers didn't do it that way. So you're using things like Discord or even TeamSpeak or other avenues. And there are moderators on, say, Call of Duty from Activision or, Halo. There's moderators that listen to these chats to make sure that cyberbullying is not happening. And with the advent of AI, it's getting a little bit better, a little bit more prolific.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is a predator isn't going to stay there. They're not going to stay in that chat. They're going to draw a child away from that chat. They're going to put them on Discord, or they're going to put them on instant message through Facebook, or they're going to
or WhatsApp, or try to get them on Snapchat or something like that. Yeah.
because they want those conversations to not be moderated.
Right.
Or in the case of, say, Snapchat, recorded.
Right.
I personally don't care for Snapchat. I think it's a absolutely horrific application because videos are going away, messages are going away, and therefore evidence is going away.
That's one gaming lesson that parents should know. Number one, your child should not be chatting with anyone who they don't know in real life. That's number one. But if they are approached by someone to take the conversation onto another platform, that is a red flag. So let your child know if they ever get approached by someone in a game, and it could be Roblox, and it could be Fortnite, it could be those games that parents tend to think are quote unquote kids games, but somebody might approach them that they think is their age, they think they're a peer, but they're like, hey, message me or DM me on Kick or DM me on Snapchat or DM me over here on WhatsApp. You should never be asked to take a conversation off platform. That is a red flag. You teach your kids about stranger danger in real life. Asking someone online to take a conversation off platform is the same type of red flag as stranger danger. And you want your young person to be able to recognize that. That's the thing. It's like they're going to encounter this stuff. They need to know what to do when it happens. So that is stranger danger. You need to immediately block that person because you don't need to be having off platform. You don't need to be having on platform conversations with strangers, but you definitely don't want to be taking the conversation off platform. What are some other gaming things that kids should be thinking about?
So one thing that parents should also be thinking about, much like, Tech Life Steph is a non-judgmental zone, is we have to understand that these kids are going to get into situations that, one, they don't understand, two, they don't know how to deal with, and three, they think they're going to get in trouble because this might be an adult telling them we need to go off of here or we need to go off into this dark secret corner of the internet. And parents need to understand that one conversation, one photo, one incident on the internet doesn't make your child a bad child.
That's right.
Because they're used to listening to what adults are telling them as being factual and true. Parents need to open up these lines of communication and make sure that when they are playing these games or they are having these conversations on the internet, that the child can come to them without fear of, quote unquote, being in trouble.
That's right. That's right.
This is one of my biggest, I'll say, cons against these bans that are happening around the world in places like Malaysia or Australia or France, where kids are, excuse me for 1 second, technically savvy enough to use virtual private networking, to use the internet to get to things they're quote unquote not supposed to. But they're going to put themselves into situations where I'm already violating the law. I'm violating this.
So they're isolating themselves. Yeah.
Correct. And then when they do get into situations they can't handle or they don't understand because they're doing something that is quote unquote illegal by government law or by penal law or however the country terms it, they feel that they can't get the help that they need.
They can't talk to someone. That's right.
And in the case of, let's say, taking them off of, let's say, Fortnite or Call of Duty onto Discord or Kick or Snapchat, and they end up in one of these sextortion rackets or they end up in one of these situations where they're being extorted by an adult, there's no help that's available in their minds because they're already breaking the law.
That's right. That's right.
And this is what we strive that we shouldn't be doing is we should be opening up these lines of communication and more importantly, education to say, come to me for help. As a parent, come to me for help. As a teacher, come to me for help.
That's right.
When you get into situations you can't understand. You might be true and breaking the law, but I don't know about you, but we've all been there. We've all done things as a child.
And kid, you've already done some things that you probably shouldn't be doing. So I want to get back to, the thing. So we got number one, you don't take the conversation off platform. That's your stranger danger. Number two, the same way you wouldn't take candy from a stranger in real life, don't take the stuff they're going to offer you in the game in real life. So in games, if you're on Roblox or if you're on Fortnite, they have little rewards like V-Bucks. Fortnite has V-Bucks. Roblox has skins that you can buy things inside the game, but you need credits to buy things inside of video games. Predators will offer those things to young people to try to lure them off the platform. So number two, just like you don't take candy from strangers online in real life, don't take free stuff from strangers on the internet. So it's so interesting how nothing has really changed necessarily when you talk about the techniques that predators use. It's just that now they have access to thousands more children because it's online versus the couple dozen children they may have had access to in their neighborhood. Right. Now you have access to thousands of children, but they're doing the same type of things. The stranger danger, they're trying to take you off platform. They're trying to get you into that white van, but it's not a white van. It's WhatsApp now. And they're bribing you not with candy, but with free things that the game offers. So these are the things you want to be drilling into your child's head. You want to be having these conversations over and over and over again, because they need to hear it so that then when they see it and when someone approaches them on the internet, they recognize it. And to your point, John, when they recognize it, they should be able to come to you, and you shouldn't be like, well, you shouldn't have been talking to that stranger in the first place. I told you about that. That's not the conversation you need to have right in that moment. You know, you need to reinforce that they did the right thing by coming to you, and this is how we're going to handle this. You're going to block that person. You're going to report that person, and I'm going to do my best to keep you safe. Diane in the chat said, I'd be so scared if I had little children today with all this going on with chats and AI. My grandkids are older, but today it doesn't matter. You're right. Too many sneaky, not so nice people out there that trick grown, intelligent people, let alone young ones. They need more workshops and classes in school about this subject. And you are absolutely right, Diane. And we out here fighting the good fight. Me and John are out here fighting the good fight, Diane. But you are absolutely right. Adults are getting scammed and targeted and everything else on a daily basis. What do you think what defense does a child have to be able to, know what to do, to be able to recognize all of these different types of attacks coming at them left, right, and sideways, and to be able to do something about it? The third thing I will say about gaming, and then we're going to move on to another subject, Black folks experience racism in the games too. So you have to be prepared for that. The Anti-Defamation League has done a survey that said identity-based harassment among young players, so this is players ages 10 to 17, has increased from 29 to 37%. And this was back in 2023. So I can imagine right now. And there's another survey that says 50% of Black adult gamers experience race-based harassment and report race-based. I think about, I don't know if you know who I Show Speed is, John. He's a streamer. He's a Twitch. He's a super millions and millions of followers on Twitch. He's a streamer. He plays games. He does other stuff online. But he, went on a tour, like a European. He went to Europe he races people sometimes and does a whole bunch of other stuff, stream. I don't get the whole streaming thing, but kids love him. This man got harassed so bad, in person, and just the things people say to him online while he's streaming, that is damaging to your child's mental health. As much as they might say, don't worry about it. It ain't no big deal. I got it. It's cool. That kind of constant cyberbullying, so let's just call it what it is, right, can be very detrimental to a child's health. Can you talk about the bullying part of gaming, John?
So it used to be, schoolyard bullies, and it was more face-to-face interaction. When I was growing up, middle school, high school, there were plenty of actual physical confrontation, fist fights in my high school, or even my middle school, where somebody double dog dared somebody else to do something, or said something snarky about somebody's parents or lineage or race, and got punched in the face for it. We don't see that very much anymore because now we've all gone online. All of our communities, our gaming communities, our interactions a lot are now online. Facebook, the game communities as well, where you can be a keyboard warrior and not get punched in the face. Or the latest, I'll say, aggressive bullying tactic is what's called swatting, where they will find you online, then they will find where you live, call the local police in your area, claiming that there is some type of mass incident or hostage situation, to prompt a response from the local police department or sheriff's department, rather enforced with SWAT teams and a lot of armaments and heavy weaponry. And there has been cases where people have been killed in that fashion. And those who have done this quote unquote swatting have been charged with murder or manslaughter and ended up in prison. So we need to make sure that we are not just understanding how this is affecting mentally. There could be some serious real world implications.
Absolutely.
Consequences, because not everything that we do online stays online.
That's right.
Stays in this digital world. And we're starting to see things like this grooming process or sextortion. There's a gentleman on LinkedIn called Paul Raffel, I believe is how he pronounced his last name. He just went over to Africa, and I believe it was Nigeria, did a whole investigation on sextortion. They created a false...
The Yahoo boys have a whole network of scams and sextortion scams and things like that. We got to take a quick break. Such a good conversation. Stay with us, John. You stay with us as well. This is Life in Tech with Tech Life Steph on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We'll be back after the break.
Comcast is delivering extraordinary experiences in live sports. Through the incredible broadcast and storytelling from NBC, innovative and personalized viewing features on Xfinity and Peacock, and the country's most reliable Wi-Fi, viewers can enjoy every game-changing play faster and more seamlessly than ever. All on a network built to deliver unforgettable moments as close to live as possible. The ultimate experience for the American sports fan. Learn more at ComcastCorporation.com/sports.
Know your right to refuse unwarranted searches. WURD Radio encourages you to know your Fourth Amendment right. Officers cannot search you, your belongings, your home, or your car without consent, a warrant, or probable cause. If law enforcement asks you for consent to a search, state clearly and firmly, I do not consent to this search. Know your rights. Here on WURD Radio, Progressive Black Talk Media.
This is St. Jude patient Alana. She's 8. She loves designing clothes and hairstyles.
When I get older, I want to be a fashion designer and make clothes, dresses, and skirts.
She finished treatment for blood cancer at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Now she can think about fashion.
It is so cute.
Instead of cancer. Thanks to supporters like you, the team at St. Jude has helped push the overall childhood cancer survival rate in the U.S. from 20% to more than 80%. Oh. And we won't stop until no child dies from cancer.
I get to make the dresses that I draw. It's very fun.
This is what childhood should be like. Let's help more kids just be kids. Learn more at stjude.org. Finding cures, saving children.
15 years in prison for a crash that killed 3. 12 and a half years for killing a child, all caused by marijuana-impaired drivers. If you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, Just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Words of empowerment.
When you are struggling and you start thinking about giving up, I want you to remember the power of hope, the belief that something better is always possible if you're willing to work for it and fight for it. Our hope that if we work hard enough and believe in ourselves, then we can be whatever we dream, regardless of the limitations that others may place on us.
Words of empowerment from former First Lady Michelle Obama on WURD. And now, back to Life in Tech with Tech Life Steph, only on WURD.
Welcome back to Life in Tech with Tech Life Steph on WURD. Progressive Black Talk Media, 900 AM, 96.1 FM, streaming at wordradio.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/forward. We are having a riveting conversation today about digital safety. And we kind of stayed in that online gaming space because we've literally just scratched the surface of everything we could be talking about. I'm happy to be joined by John Schimanski, Chief Information Security Officer for Mass Next Gen. And we got to shout out a couple more people in the chat. Chris Chierdo is in the chat. Drina Ross is watching all the way from the sweeter side of Detroit, Michigan. Look at that. Life in Tech is going worldwide, baby. I love it. Joey Dixon in the chat as always. Happy to have you here, Joey. So let's talk about, what we can do, because we hopefully have equipped parents with a little bit to get them going from a gaming perspective. So number one, no stranger danger. Don't let anybody take your kid off platform. They shouldn't be in the chat anyway. Disable the chat on the game, but they shouldn't be going off platform to talk to anybody. Don't take candy from strangers. So don't let anyone offer your kid free V-Bucks or free credits inside the game for anything. Don't be taking nothing free from nobody, because ain't nothing really free. And number three, help your kid understand that cyberbullying can have an effect. Stuff that stays online doesn't necessarily always stay online. Cyberbullying can have a very negative effect on their mental health, number one, for Black kids especially, but also if something were to happen where something manifested in real life. So definitely block, report, don't engage with someone that wants to continue that sort of behavior, and report it and tell someone as soon as possible. And of course, the most important thing I think is to create a safe space where your child knows they can come to you to get this worked out, and it will be a no judgment zone. But let's talk about sort of what schools should be doing, what policies should be out there, and what Mass Next Gen is doing to try to mitigate this. Talk about, because Mass Next Gen is a game, so we're actually asking people to game. Talk about why that works and why that helps young people be more prepared to face digital threats.
So we're seeing a lot of transition from, especially in schools, kids are now getting Chromebooks, they're getting tablets, they're getting access to technology in schools that you and I didn't have when we were in school. And it's becoming a lot more prolific. They're even letting, at some levels of school, I believe more so in, like, say, high school levels, for them to take that technology home with them so they can do the papers, they can do research. Because not only, especially in, let's say, economically depressed or not as affluent neighborhoods or areas of the U.S. where technology is not as prevalent or as accessible at home, they're letting them take this technology home. Schools should be protecting those devices with antivirus. They should be making those devices automatically connect to the school's network for proxying of inappropriate or non-school affiliated websites. And realistically, it should be about communication.
Yeah.
Is it communicating to the administrators? Is it communicating to the teachers? Is it communicating with their parents? Is it communicating with each other? I did a engagement with a small rural school district in Kentucky where they did not allow their students to email outside of the school district systems up until they had like junior, senior year in high school, which I think is a fantastic policy because at junior and senior year of high school, you're talking to colleges, you're talking to recruiters, you're talking to other entities outside of the school as to further education. I think it's a fantastic policy. I've talked to several school officials throughout not only Texas, where I'm at, but also around the country that have similar type policies. But when the students take the technology home with them, the Chromebook, the tablet, the laptop that they get from school, they're not necessarily being protected by school resources. Sure, it's got antivirus. Sure, it has some of the standard protection that computers come with these days.
Right.
But it's not calling home to the school district for those protections. It's kind of the wild west. And let's be honest, kids today are more technically savvy than they've ever been.
That's right.
And they know more. They talk to each other. I was talking to some kids a couple of weeks ago. They don't care what the other person looks like on the other end of the computer. They don't care what they're talking to everybody. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because they don't know that that's a 15-year-old. They don't know that that's a 17-year-old. They don't know that's a 35-year-old man. They don't know that that's a 45 or a 60-year-old man. They don't know who actually is on the other side of that screen. And they're not very cautious because the impetuous of youth to say, I'm bulletproof and this happens to other people, until it happens to them.
Right. Right. So what would you say? So we understand that schools have a responsibility to protect their devices with antivirus and other sort of firewall type things, and just making sure that the student can't access certain things when they're on a school issued device. What would you say about maybe policy and what lawmakers should be doing? Because we both agree that a social media ban is not necessarily the best answer. It's more of a brute force, sort of blunt object kind of way to protect children when it's not really protecting them. And it's not necessarily doing enough to go after the people that are offending in the first place. So what would you say from a policy perspective should be done to protect kids online?
I would say, and I know it's becoming more and more prolific, we have the FBI, we have the IC3, which is the Internet Complaint Department of the FBI. We also have National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. There's a lot of organizations that are out there to protect children. We need to fund those more. We need to give them more resources. We need to have more resources allotted to our local police departments so they can go after these predators, so that they can get the resources they need. I do know that such agencies as Interpol works very well with not only our law enforcement here in the United States, but across the world, to go after these people. They just need more resources. They need more money. They need more time. They need more of everything. They need more people to be passionate about protecting children.
Right.
And I have several friends here in Austin, where I live, who work for the Office of the Attorney General in this space, in sex crimes, in child protection, who they have to rotate them out because these are heavy topics. These are things that they don't want to see. I've worked with police officers most of my career who have done these types of cases, and they burn out. It's heavy, heavy is the hand or heavy is the mind with these things. But policies and lawmakers, as you said, they should be strengthening their resources and the punishments.
Yep.
So it's one thing to say a guy who's 21 who sees a pretty girl, goes over and asks her age, and she's 17 and walks away. That's perfectly acceptable. But the guy who's 45 sees a pretty girl and the girl says she's 17 and doesn't walk away and continues grooming or continues to,
or goes on to create a deep fake of that young lady, should be prosecuted. Absolutely. And that's a whole nother conversation. Oh my gosh, we could talk for, so we are definitely going to have you back, John. We are almost up against the end of the hour, but thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Where can people go to get more information about the work you're doing with Mass Next Gen?
So we have a website, massnextgen.com, and I'll put it in the chat in just a moment. We also have every22seconds.com or .org, I think.
I think it's .com. Yep.
It is .com. I just pulled it up on my computer here.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make people aware of this, and that's what really Mask is trying to do. But it's also teaching children who are already in the gaming space. They're already playing games. It's through repetition. It's through puzzles. It's making them think. It's enhancing that critical thinking skill in a safe environment, giving them the scenarios through gaming, giving them the scenario through visual novels, through boss battles and challenges and things of that in a safe environment, so that when they do encounter this in a real world, that it is.
And it's a reflex. And they know exactly what to do because it's a reflex, because they've been flexing that muscle and building that muscle to understand what they may encounter and understand how to deal with what they may encounter. So head to Mask, M-A-S-K, nextgen.com or every22seconds.com to learn more information about the work that we're doing. We are out here fighting the good fight, y'all, and we're doing it for you. Again, just scratching the surface. We will have John back and other experts to talk about. We got deep fakes, we got AI chatbot dependency, we got prediction market gambling. There's so many different things. It's such a huge problem, but together we can make at least a dent in it, and we can continue to work to educate our young people about the things that they can expect to see online. Because again, it's no longer a white van, it's a whole internet, and it is all of our responsibility as adults to help our young people understand how they need to show up online, but also how they can deal with the things that they're going to come in contact with online. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. This is Life in Tech with Tech Life Steph. I see David Barnes in the building. New World View is coming up next on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. This is Life in Tech with Tech Life Steph. I'll see y'all next week at 11 a.m. Thanks for watching. Peace.